Hello, what is up, friends? Today's Friday, a big sales day, but it's so beautiful outside. 66 degrees Fahrenheit, sunny, clear skies, very little wind, perfect riding conditions. So today we're going to carry on with this tips for new motorcycle riders. This is volume 4. Again, in no particular order. And these are just things I've picked up along the way. There should be a link up top for the playlist, which has volume 1, 2, and 3 in it, in case you missed those. So these will be tips number 32 through 41. Try to keep these volumes to 10 tips at a time. And by all means, if you have any tips that I haven't covered yet, you know, send them over to me and I'll give you credit for them for sure. Again, this is all about sharing. So tip number 32, and this is specifically for the summer months, and again, specifically for those living in the southern regions where it gets really hot. Make sure you bring some water with you. And with that being said, a lot of motorcycles, if you're on a sport bike, you don't have panniers or luggage, you know, or underneath the seat, the storage is so small. You know, you can fit a pack of cigarettes under there or something. That's it. So get yourself, depending on what kind of bike you have, of course. You know, some bikes might have bags. That's awesome. But if you don't have bags and you can't have any, there's options. There's a sling bags. You can get a bag that goes across your chest here, and kind of just get one big enough that you can stick a bottle of water. And you know, you should carry a tire kit with you in case you get a flat tire on the road. You know, big enough for that. Put your keys, wallet, whatever in there. So I have one of those. Also, I have this kind of holster bag. I'm going to make another video about that in the near future. But just somewhere you can keep things, especially water in those hot days, because you got to stay hydrated. And for storage, like my bike, I bought I got rid of the back seat there and bought the pod from Sargent. So I got a new seat and a pod. I have a video about that if you want to check it out. But the pod gives me a lot of extra space. I can fit water in there. I can fit my air compressor, tire kit, some tools, microfiber cloth. Enough, you know. And it makes the bike, in my opinion, look cool. It looks like a, you know, kind of drag bike. Okay, number 33. This is specific to my bike and also to my personal whims, if you will. I lock my helmet up on my bike. A lot of people will just stick their helmet on their rearview mirror or rest it on their fuel tank, or some bikes under the seat, they come with a little metal hook, and you can hook your helmet onto that and then put the seat back on, and then the helmet's kind of locked in place. You can't really take it, but I don't have one of those. But I do have a top case rack that came with this bike, and I typically will put the helmet on that and in the bag. So most helmets come with a little bag. Like my Shoei helmet came with a little Shoei bag. I put it in there just in case it does topple off or it falls off or something happens. The helmets can scratch and chip really easily, and so at least that bag will protect it from getting scratched or chipped. And I just use a tiny little lock. You can see here I got online, and of course if someone really wants it, they could probably cut this, no problem, but just an extra, you know, kind of step to go through if you really wanted to grab it. And you know, at bike meetups, usually not a problem, because you know 99.something% of riders are all good people and they're not going to steal from each other, touch things. But if I'm parking my bike somewhere, at a restaurant or somewhere, and I can't see the bike, and I don't want to bring my helmet in with me, then you know, I just lock it up on the back there. Okay, number 34. Again, we're in a parking lot here. This is about parking. Let me flip this up. I've seen lots of people talk about this parking etiquette. So here's my take on it. Basically, a motorcycle is much smaller than a car, so it doesn't take up the entire space. And a lot of people say, well, you should park over to one side and just leave room for another motorcycle to use. Here's my thing with that. That other motorcycle that's coming up and going to park next to me, I don't know that person most likely. I don't know what kind of rider they are. I don't know how, you know, experienced they are. What if they park next to my bike and they misjudge and they bump my bike, knock it over, or you know, whatever. Or if they're just, you know, get off and kick my bike or knock my helmet off. So I take up the entire spot when I park if I'm by myself. And it's important to, when you park, so let's see here, we're parking next to this car. So this is really important, especially if the parking lot is full and your spot's the only one open, is, I don't know if you can see this or not. I'll get off and film. But I park the bike to the back, not all the way to the front to the white line, but I park it to the back, so the back end of my motorcycle is even, almost even with the back of this car next to me. So I have a lot of empty space in front of me. And the reason for that is sometimes cars come in, they're cruising down the aisle. If you park your bike all the way to the front, they're not going to see a car's bumper and they're going to think it's an open spot. They're going to pull in, and if they're not on their toes and quick, they might run right into your bike and knock it over. So if you put the butt of your bike out, even with the back of the cars here, everyone's going to see it and they're not going to run into you. Now it does kind of suck that you're leaving all that empty space, but again, I don't know who these people are that may or may not park next to me with a motorcycle, or they might come in and block me in. They might park their bike in a way that I can't get out, and I don't know where they are or where they went to, when they're coming back. But when I'm with my buddies, we will put 3 to 4 motorcycles, depending how big the spot is, in one spot to be courteous to other drivers. That way, you know, I know everybody, they're all with me, we're going to the same place, we're all coming back, and, you know, it doesn't matter, you're not going to block anybody in because you're together. So that's 34, parking. Okay, here's tip 35. Here in Texas, we have hard water, in central Texas anyways, because of all the lime deposits and whatnot. So the water that comes out of the hose, if you wash your bike and you don't dry it off properly, you're going to get those hard water stains. And my bike being black, any bike that's a very dark color, those white mineral stains, usually calcium kind of deposits, are going to really show up. And they're hard to get off. So basically all you have to do on your paint is, if you just wet it again and rub it down with a microfiber to dry it off, they'll go away. But on the TFT screen and on the rearview mirrors, it's a little bit more difficult to get those completely off and streak free with no streaks. So what I do is, okay, so I use a little cotton ball or a little wadded up piece of toilet paper, whatever, and put a little bit of vinegar on there. And this is the white vinegar that you would find in the store. You get a big gallon of it for a couple dollars, real cheap. And it's usually, I think, 5 to 9% acidity. And I just take that little cotton ball and I rub a little vinegar on the rearview mirrors and the TFT screen here on my BMW, and that just eats the breaks down the calcium deposit instantly. And then I just use some distilled water, which has no mineral deposits or no minerals in it at all, to just wipe any excess vinegar off of there, because you don't want it just sitting on there. And finish it off with a microfiber wipe down with a towel, and that will give you a nice clean TFT and rearview mirrors with no spots, no water spots. Okay, number 36, we're staying on the topic of distilled water. What I do after I get home from every ride is I put my helmet down flat, close the visor down and everything, and I spray the front of the helmet with a good coating of distilled water, and I just let it sit there. Take the rest of my gear off, and then I take a microfiber cloth and wipe down the visor inside and out and get all the bugs off. Well, it's a little warm in there. Get the bugs off and the dust, fingerprints, whatever. And that's all I do. I don't use any kind of special cleaners or anything like that. And as long as you use a clean microfiber cloth, you should be fine. You're not going to scratch your helmet or anything like that. I've been doing that for years. My visors are all crystal clear, no scratch marks. Number 37 is washing the bike. A lot of people ask me, like, oh, how do you keep your bike so clean? I only wash the bike twice a year. pretty much, with soap and a sponge and toothbrush it, you know, get all nooks and crannies and all that stuff, and get the hose and spray it down. And I only do that a couple times a year. Now granted, I don't ride my motorcycle when it rains. I've been caught in the rain. I didn't mean to be in the rain, but for the most part, I don't ride in the rain. I ride like days like this, nice and sunny and clear. The only thing that gets on my bike is going to be the road dust. So what I do is, like every other time I get home from riding, I'll use that distilled water, that little spray bottle, and I'll spray the bike down, let it sit for a little bit, and then I just take this big microfiber cloth and I wipe all the water down, wipe it all off. Because it's distilled water, it doesn't really leave any streaks because there's no minerals in it. And I do that in my garage, so it's not in the sun, so it, you know, dries too fast. And that's kind of how I hit all the major spots, like the fuel tank, the windscreen, you know, the side panels, kind of the places that you can see, and especially the painted areas. So it only takes, you know, it takes me a few minutes to do that, and it keeps the bike nice and shiny and looking clean. I don't do the rims, and those do get cruddy after a while, so that's why I do wash it every, you know, like 2 times a year or so. But again, distilled water is something I use a lot. It's cheap, and it does the job. All right, this is number 38. I give credit to my friend Barbara for this one. This is especially important for shorter riders. Right now, I'm on this street at this red light, and the camber of this road is tilted to the left extreme. So when you come up to a stoplight, if you're a shorter rider, on a flat surface, if you can flat foot your bike, shouldn't be too much of a problem. But if you can get on your bike on a flat surface and you're tippy toeing, when you come to a road like a stop sign or a stoplight that's got a really severe camber angle to the road, you got to be really careful, because when you go to throw your foot down, it might be a much longer reach than you expected. And this is also true for watching out for potholes. Sometimes there might be a pothole or uneven surface by the light, and when you stop your bike, you put your foot down, and you're putting your foot down into a hole, and that's going to cause you to tip your bike over further than you want to, and you might fall. So just be prepared for that. When you come up to a stop, if you see the camber is off and it's like really on a steep angle, you know, put both your feet out, or both your landing gear, as we say, and you know, protect yourself from falling over. So thank you, Barbara, for that. And Barbara is actually an MSF instructor here in the Austin area. Check out her Instagram, put it right here. Thanks again, Barbara. Okay, tip number 39, and this is for heavy bikes. And I'm sure if you bought a heavy bike, hopefully the dealership told you about this. But when the bike is on the kickstand and the front tire is pointing to the left, and that's the direction the bike is leaning as well, you've got a you know, like a street glide or something with a big heavy fairing on it, and it's a big bike, big touring bagger bike, 800-900 pounds. If you're small and, you know, not super strong, it's going to be very hard to pick that bike up off the stand and straighten the wheel out. So what you do is you turn the wheel to the right before you try to pick the bike up. And what that does is it helps leverage the bike in your favor to fall to the right. So when you start to put your muscle and your legs into it to pick the bike up, the bike will kind of stand up on its own and want to fall to the right a little bit. So it's a lot easier to get it off the kickstand that way. So turn the wheel to the right and then lift the bike up off the stand. Okay, tip number 40. This is specific to areas like this we're riding through right now. Do not ride your bike in areas like this at night if you can avoid it, because no matter where you live in the country, or the world for that matter, I guess, any of these wooded areas you ride through, which are where all the nice twisty roads are also home to a bunch of furry critters. And here in Austin area, we got lots of deer, armadillos, squirrels, feral hogs, snakes, and I've even had a tarantula run out in the road in front of me once. But nighttime, dusk and dawn and nighttime are key times where, you know, our furry friends are running around. And I've had more than one occasion where I've had deer run out in front of me. And yeah, that's not good if you hit a deer. But this is my kind of back road way to get downtown. And it's a really nice, relaxing ride. And I'll do that. A lot of times there's bike meetups, like Moto Social and things like that. They'll be downtown. And I'm up in the north, so I'll take this route to get down there before it gets dark. And then, you know, Moto Socials usually end around 8 or 9 o'clock at night. And what I'll do is I'll take the freeway home. So if you're gonna ride at night, just for safety reasons, it's best to just stick to the visible, highly visible roads with street lights and other traffic. And our last tip, number 41, this is intersections. So intersections are where a lot of bikers get hit and unfortunately killed, because cars can't see you. There's too many things going on, especially in a big metropolis. You know, sometimes intersections have 6 lanes across and they're going different directions and turn lanes and this and that. So number one, always give everyone the right of way. Just assume they can't see you and let, you know, people do their thing. And one of the cardinal rules, of course, is always to stay away from cars. You don't want to ride in their blind spot. So if you're on the freeway or even on a double lane road all going the same direction, you don't want to be on the left or right hand side of a car in their blind spot and they can't see you, because they could just decide, okay, there's nobody next to me, so I'm just going to move right over and not signal or anything, and then just, you know, bop you right off the road. That's kind of one of the cardinal rules. But in the case of intersections, this is my own personal philosophy, and it's kind of Spidey sense. You got to use your own wits about you. But I find going through the intersection with other cars, so if I'm coming up to an intersection and there's like across from us, there's those turn lanes that could turn left out in front of us, I will speed up if need be to get closer to another car and go through the intersection with cars, because that's a much bigger mass of metal going through the intersection that other cars are most likely not going to pull out in front of because they can see it. If you go through the intersection by yourself, you're a tiny little piece of metal. Depending on the time of the day, they might not be able to see you or see your light, your headlight clearly, and they'll pull right out in front of you. So I kind of play the game of, as I'm coming to the intersection, I let off the throttle a little bit so I'm not going super fast. I get my fingers up on the brake so I'm ready. If I have to, you know, give it some brake, the fingers are already there, which will lessen the chance that I grab the brake and yank on it really hard. If I've already got my fingers on it, I can kind of squeeze it instead of yanking on it. And then, you know, if you yank on the front brake, you're definitely gonna go down. But yeah, I kind of strategically use other vehicles around me to go through the intersection, kind of like a quarterback when they decide to run an option and use some of the linemen to block for them so they can run through the intersection. Kind of like that. But yeah, intersections are a big one. Got to be careful. I think that's our last one, right? Yeah. So that was number 41, our last tip of the day. And again, a lot of these are common sense, and but they're just worth sharing and thinking about. And as you add years and time to your motorcycle bike life, these things you're going to pick up your own ways and your own kind of solutions for things. But just make sure you build those solutions on good habits and not bad habits, because once you get in a bad habit, it's hard to break. So that is it. I'm here at a stoplight. Flip this up. Yeah, I've got nowhere special to go. I'm just going downtown. This is kind of a wind therapy session for me. Just enjoy the weather and the wind and talking to you guys. And that's it. So thanks for joining me. And again, the playlist should be up on the screen there from before. This kind of tips series has 4 volumes now. So if you missed the first 3, go check those out. So until next time, later.